Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to GovCon Empire. I am Derrick Green, also known as Theo, founder of Sky Acquisitions right here in Houston. Now, as you know, on this channel, if you've been following, we don't do fluff, we don't talk theory, we give you the real game, the insider blueprint for how any business, any investment, any asset can become profitable through contracting and compliance. Because when you understand compliance, you don't just play the system, you leverage it. That's your key word, leverage. This is how investors, entrepreneurs, and institutions build not just income, but generational wealth by aligning with how government and private sector money actually moves. Now, let's make this clear. Yes, we typically lead with government contracting on this channel. However, the same principles apply everywhere, all across private sector and pretty much everything: oil and gas, commercial real estate, banking, healthcare, logistics, supply chain, consulting, even tech. That's just to name a few. So it's very important to understand that the same discipline that wins federal contracts can anchor your business or your portfolio into major private sector deals or anywhere that capital flows. And today, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood topics out there: the government shutdown. All right? Look, most people hear shutdown and panic. They think everything stops. They basically think it's the apocalypse. But here's what they miss: shutdowns don't erase budgets, they stack them. And when the doors reopen, the rush is real. So, if you've ever wanted to know how to turn crisis into positioning, compliance into currency, and when everyone else freezes, you are in the right place. Let's get into it. What a shutdown actually is, idiot proof. Look, let's make this crystal clear. A shutdown is not the government quitting, and it's not the president slamming a big red stop button. Here's what's really going on. So, the House and the Senate, they're basically arguing over the budget. They have to pass spending bills or at least a short-term extension or resolution. When they don't agree, money stops flowing. That's it. That's a funding gap, not a national emergency. Agencies don't disappear. The government does not collapse. Essential services don't stop running. The military still moves. Social Security and Medicare still pays out. So does VA. TSA still screens passengers in airports. And law enforcement still shows up. What does pause are the extras: national parks, new contracts, and certain agency operations. Some employees unfortunately get furloughed and new projects get put on ice until funding restarts. But the bottom line, a shutdown is a pause. It is not the end of the game. It's a political tug of war. And when the rope drops, the people who stayed ready are the first to move. And that same principle shows up in the private sector world as well. Corporate budgets freeze, they delay launches, banks tightening the credit requirements. They're all just different versions of a shutdown. But when things restart, the opportunities flow straight to the people who were already prepared and stayed in place. So the promise for those who stay in the game: 1, backlog becomes boom. When Congress finally cuts a deal, everything that's been paused comes roaring back to life. Every project, every award, every pending contract, all of it floods the system at once. So if you are registered, prepped, and compliant, you're already at the front of the line. Get it? Now, the investor takeaway for this is when the door reopens, momentum explodes. The firms who stayed ready don't just get contracts, they get them first. And the investors behind them ride that surge of rapid fire deal flow and accelerated returns. The same is true in private markets when real estate funds or energy firms stall during market freezes. The disciplined players, the ones who stayed compliant, scoop up the projects that others abandoned. Now, positioning during the quiet. When others panic or go dark, smart players double down. They tighten compliance. They prep proposals. They strengthen relationships with agencies because this is the time when it's quiet. This is when you can get people's attention. Agencies remember those who stayed visible during freezes. The investor takeaway: downturns are where positioning is built. The herd pulls back, but the ones who stay active quietly collect leverage, setting themselves up for first mover advantage when the market reignites. And the same thing plays out in private industries: oil, logistics, healthcare, tech. Those who remain consistent and visible through uncertainty, they inherit the trust, the contracts, and the partnerships that others left behind. So, certainty in an uncertain market, defense spending, veteran housing, healthcare, infrastructure, IT modernization. These aren't optional, they're mandated. A shutdown does not erase these obligations, they just delay them. The investor takeaway: federal contracts are recession proof. They don't vanish, they stack. So when funding resumes, the payout window shortens and the money moves faster. Private companies have similar anchors: cybersecurity, ESG compliance, employee health care. Things they have to fund whether the market is hot or cold. So if you are compliant and ready, you are already positioned to catch that inevitable rebound. 4. The bigger budgets, bigger burst. Once a shutdown ends, agencies rush to make up for lost time. Historically, the second and third quarters explode with spending. It's not back to normal, it is a surge. The investor takeaway: when timelines compress, momentum explodes. The firms who stayed ready don't just get contracts, they get them first. And investors behind those firms see rapid fire deal flow and lightning fast returns. In private sectors, it's the same principle: oil drilling approvals, construction restarts, hospital expansions. Once the pause lifts, capital floods the system. So those who stayed ready, they catch that double wave, that backlog and acceleration. The brutal reality, the hidden advantage. Here's what most people don't say out loud: not everyone survives the freeze. Some contractors fold, others lose confidence and simply walk away. And when they do, those openings don't disappear, they transfer. So the investor takeaway: dominance isn't built in calm water, it's earned when others tap out. When weaker players step away, the stronger ones inherit their market share, their contracts, and their positioning. The same happens across private markets. When startups burn out, disciplined firms buy their contracts and customer lists. When an energy company collapses, for example, in a down cycle, steady players pick up assets for pennies on the dollar. Turbulence doesn't kill opportunity, it concentrates it. Why this matters to investors, angels, and hedge funds? Institutional and family offices: if you want predictable, secure returns, federal contracts are as solid as it gets. They are backed by the most reliable customer on earth, the U.S. federal government. Private equity and hedge funds: if you're looking for scalable, compliant investments with cash flow consistency, federal leasing and contracting delivers it. And when you apply that same discipline to real estate, logistics, or healthcare, you unlock stable, overlooked revenue pipelines. Angel and early stage investors: you want outsized growth? Partnering with a service-disabled veteran-owned firm like Sky Acquisitions gives you direct access to exclusive set-aside federal contracts. So compliance isn't a formality, it's a ticket inside. It also opens doors to corporate buyers who only work with certified, qualified partners. So to all investors, shutdown, freezes, and slowdowns cause fear, but those who understand cycles, this is when you load up, not back off. Every pause is just a setup for the next expansion. So here's the thing you need to understand. Shutdowns don't stop the game, they reset the board. They separate the tourists from the players. And the truth is, compliance and contracting discipline aren't just government skills, they are universal success principles. They are how you build trust, longevity, and leverage in any market, whether it's government, oil and gas, real estate, banking, healthcare, or tech. If you stay compliant and ready, you don't wait on Washington or Wall Street. You position yourself to catch the deals others walk away from. That's how wealth is really built. Not by chasing the calm waters, but by owning the storm. Once again, I'm Derrick Green, founder of Sky Acquisitions here in Houston. And this is GovCon Empire. Stick with me, and I will keep showing you how to turn compliance into your greatest competitive advantage in government, private industries, and in your portfolio. Talk soon.